As we all know, English spelling is a complete mess. It's easy to take a look at it and think you could do better, so why not try your own spelling reform? It can be fun and compelling to have a shot at improving English spelling and handling all the challenges that come along with it. And sometimes it can be fun to scrap the Latin alphabet entirely in favor of a conscript designed specifically with English in mind. But trying to adapt English to a different writing system not intended for it, while impractical for a genuine spelling reform, can be interesting as well, working with the limitations of another script and trying to fit it to English as best as possible. So that's what I'm doing in this video, as a fun linguistic exercise. When designing any English spelling reform, it's good to take into consideration the many dialects of English and the different ways of pronouncing phonemes, particularly which represent sounds that may be merged in one dialect but are pronounced separately in another. The English consonant phonemes I'll be representing will be ma, na, nga, pa, ba, ta, da, ka, ga, cha, ja, fa, va, tha, tha, sa, za, sha, ja, cha, la, ra, ya, and wa. And the vowel phonemes will be a, e, I, o, u, o, a, o, I, ow, oi, r, ear, or, and This is essentially General American English as a base, but with as many sound mergers undone as possible, including the cot merger, wine merger, and the merry merger. Received pronunciation and General American generally line up one-to-one, but the A-like vowels have a lot of mismatch between the two, so I'll mostly be transcribing the three vowels in General American English without the cot merger. Hua could be analyzed as its own phonemes in dialects where it hasn't merged with wa, but I'll be writing it as ha followed by wa. With those disclaimers out of the way, let's get to the fun part of writing English with writing systems not meant for it, starting with Cyrillic. The Cyrillic letters that logically and easily fit to English sounds are B, V, G, D, Z, K, L, M, N, P, R, S, T, F, Ch, and Sha. For ba, va, ga, da, za, ka, la, ma, na, pa, ra, sa, ta, fa, cha, and sha respectively. For ja, there are a few options to represent it, including je, but my preferred choice is che with dissenter, used in languages like Tajik to represent ja, and using je to represent ja. My system also uses n with dissenter, used in Kazakh, Kyrgyz, Tatar, Tuvan, Dungan, among a few others, for the velar nasal nga. While ha may seem like a logical choice for the glottal fricative ha, I can't find any examples of ha representing the sound in any language using the Cyrillic alphabet. So I'm using ha for the velar fricative like in the majority of languages, and using ha for the glottal fricative. Then there's the dental fricatives, for which the best way I found to represent them was s with dissenter for the voiceless dental fricative tha, and ze with dissenter for the voiced dental fricative tha, both used in Bashkir. For ya, there's short e, a standard part of many languages using Cyrillic, and for wa, there's short u, which isn't as common but works just as well. Determining vowels was trickier, but I settled with a for a, o for a, ye for e for dotted e for e, and u for u as the basis of the monophthongs. The system also uses Cyrillic schwa for a, as in Bashkir, Kazakh, Tatar, and a few others, and Kazakh short u for Schwa and strut were hard to pin down, but I settled on the hard sign for strut, as it makes a very similar sound in Bulgarian, and e for schwa, as was used to write the Romanian schwa sound in the Moldovan SSR. Diphthongs are straightforward, with the second element being followed by short e or short u, and all the R-colored vowels are followed by r. For as in nurse, I repurposed the hard sign to be used for it because I'm tired and I want to go to sleep. Cyrillic also has a handful of palatal vowels used in Slavic languages after a vowel follows a palatal sound, and for ya as an onset consonant. I'm using ya for ya, yo for yaw, you for you, Ukrainian ye and ye respectively, and then giving up after that with short e before the rest of the vowels. Here's a sample of North Wind to the Sun, one of Aesop's fables, which is frequently used for phonetic transcriptions, written with my system of English Cyrillic. Next we'll be adapting English to Devanagari. The consonants are very straightforward, with ma, na, nga, pa, ba, ka, ga, cha, ja, sa, sha, ha, la, ra, and ya all having direct corresponding letters in Devanagari. Sounds like fa, za, ja, and cha are foreign sounds to the Indic languages that use Devanagari, so to represent them they add a diacritic called a nukta to native consonants pa, ja, and ka. But since English would have no need for letters for consonants pa, ja, and ka, we can just use the letters without nuktas. I can't seem to find separate letters for va and wa, as most Indic languages loan them in as the same sound, labiodental approximant wa, so we'll use its corresponding letter for wa. And using similar logic for pa as fa, use the letter for bha as va. Indic languages like Hindi transcribe English's alveolar stops with the retroflex stops, while using their alveolar stops for the dental fricatives. But using the alveolar stops for something besides their direct equivalents doesn't feel right to me as a native English speaker, so I'd prefer to use the letters for ta and da for tha and the. There's also consonant conjuncts, used to indicate consonant clusters, often having drastically different forms than the two or more consonants used separately, which requires special attention. Devanagari also handles English vowels very well. There are clear vowel letters and diacritics for I, u, and schwa could easily be the inherent vowel. I use the vowel for Sanskrit's a and o for a and o, and I and o for a and o. Long a could be a, and Marathi has vowels for transcribing English a and o, the latter of which I'm using as a separate letter because it would be a waste of a perfectly good vowel otherwise. I couldn't find a letter specifically for strut, however, and this is where I admit my anti-strut bias and write it the same as schwa. Diphthongs are written as their monophthong equivalents, followed by ya or wa at the end of words, but in the middle of words are followed by short I and u. Rhotic vowels are written with the plain vowels followed by ra, though with the syllabic r vowel repurposed for English On this vara can be used for consonant clusters beginning with nasals, and I'm repurposing sarga to represent explicit schwa at the ends of polysyllabic words. While there is a marker for getting rid of the inherent schwa, there are so many English words ending in consonants that it would be cumbersome, so it's best to have word final consonant letters represent no schwa after them. Here's North Wind of the Sun again, but with English Devanagari. Next up is the Perso-Arabic script, which does an exceptionally good job at representing the consonants of English, with base Arabic having ba for ba, ta for ta, tha for the, jim for ja, kha for kha, dal for da, dhal for the, ra for ra, zai for za, sin for sa, shin for sha, fa for fa, kaf for ka, lam for la, mim for ma, nun for na, ha for ha, waw for wa, and ya for ya. Persian has letters for other English consonants, those being pe for pa, che for cha, je for ja, and ga for ga. Finally, there's ve for va, used in Kurdish, and ng for nga, used in Jawi for Malay. Vowels are trickier because, surprise surprise, Perso-Arabic doesn't typically write in short vowels, and letters for long vowels also represent consonants, and at times more than one vowel or diphthong sound. So like most adaptations of the Arabic script, it isn't fully phonemic regarding vowels. The system uses aleph for a, as well as the glottal stop, and at the beginning of words to indicate said word starts with a vowel. And this is the part where I relapse and apply the ka-kot merger because we have a limited amount of vowel letters, same with schwa and strut. Wow is used for o and u, ya is used for e, and bariye, used in Urdu and Punjabi, is used for e and a. I'm also reusing ha for a, as is done in Sorani and Uyghur, and the rest of the vowels are simply unwritten. Although like with other alphabets using Perso-Arabic, short vowels can be indicated with optional diacritics for situations where precise pronunciation is needed, and these diacritics can also be used to distinguish between the multiple pronunciations of the long vowel letters. The other diphthongs and R-colored vowels are handled the same way as with Cyrillic and Devanagari, which is to say, just use the normal vowels but put ya, ra, or wow after them. Here's North Wind of the Sun one last time for English in the Perso-Arabic script, with and without diacritics. And there's English written in 3 writing systems it wasn't meant to be written with. Of course, we're primarily confined to the Latin alphabet due to historical situation, with little to no historic influence on English from the cultures associated with these writing systems. But one could dream for an English orthography that makes slightly more sense than the one we currently have. And if this video inspired you to make cursed versions of English adapted to other scripts, good. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters, with special thanks to Sunder, Feroz, Eric Asim, and Jeffrey. Subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed the video, and until next time, goodbye!